Welcome to day 40 of the second run of 100 Days Making Comics. I'm Ox, and this is where I talk about how I've worked on my comic for at least 30 minutes out of every day for 100 consecutive days. This is the second time I've done it back to back, and this is going to be a little bit different. I'm not quite sure how this is all going to work, so bear with me. I am going to be teaching you what stages I go through to make my newsletter, since I think it's one of the most important tools an artist actually has. Just figure I could share my how I go about making mine. So I basically have the campaign already made. The campaign is basically what you call your newsletter. I am just going to go through here quick. So when you're starting out, you can make different lists. You can add different people. It tracks how often people open, things like that. You got your different campaigns. And so when you're making a campaign, all you gotta do is go over here, create campaign. There's plenty of different things you can do. I usually do regular campaign. It'll ask what it wants to send it out to people. When you pick your list, you send it to the entire list, or saved segments, or groups, or like VIPs and stuff like that. So you want to pick that. And then next, it will ask you to name the campaign, and I'll call this blah blah. This does not affect anything. Consider like this is just so you know what you're checking for. Email subject, that's what people will see when they open up the email, obviously. You won $50. Don't send things like that, because people will just be irritated and hate you. It'll say specify whatever their name is for their on their list will show up to the sender. Just the way it personalizes it, makes it look personal, and that is awesome. You come down here. You can automatically tweet the campaign once you get done writing it. I tend to do that. I will write a quick blurb saying it's the newsletter, and then the URL will show up. I also post to Facebook. I typically do my art page only. Then I'm not spamming it everywhere. And then basically you go on to the campaign. There's many different templates they have. I just wanted to show. Usually if you see these big gray boxes, those are where pictures go. Typically the one I use is the 1 to 3 column. I have done banded before, but typically every month I use the 1 to 3 column, and I'll show you what that looks like now. So basically up here at the top you're going to have room for an image, which I typically have my newsletter picture. Let's see, sorry for the shaking, but oh whoops. So that'll show it up there. Basically done with that. You come down here, this is where the body of your text goes. You can rearrange words like that and stuff. And the reason I do the 3 column is it'll give you 3 pictures to kind of keep people up on date. Like you saw, there's many templates, different structures you can use for that. And then once I am done with all of that, I typically grab the social follow and I'll throw that between the body of the text and then these 3 pictures. And you can do everything from your Facebook page to Twitter. I think there's 10 different buttons that show up. Yeah, all you have to do is add another service, come down here, you can pick what you want, pretty self-explanatory. So we're going to close out this one, and I will actually open up the campaign I was working on. So you got my newsletter header there. Typically you gotta come up here and adjust this. I usually just write a quick something that ties it back to whatever I've titled the campaign. So you've got my newsletter there. I threw in a picture that I posted on Facebook the other day because this goes out to people that don't have Facebook. I think it's just a good note to send to people as well. You see this highlighted area? It just, when you pick that, like that text, it'll actually give you the ability to pick a background color. And you can adjust that how you want. I typically do it if I'm doing a picture, and then the text basically captioning it, and then links, so those are easy to find and click. Like I said, I throw those different sites up, mainly my YouTube, obviously, because that's what I'm posting these 100 days on. My Tumblr is kind of my personal site. My Instagram, Twitter, email are all my social sites that I typically use day to day. Facebook, obviously. That'll take you to my art page, and then my website, which is basically my blog and where I'm posting my comic as a webcomic nowadays. I tend to show the most important thing that's happened in the last few weeks, something fun, highlighting other artists, and then something that people maybe not have seen, and that's the print that's going to be in issue 3. So typically how I structure these emails, I typically do about 3 paragraphs. I do first paragraphs is usually what's happened the last 2 to 3 weeks. The middle is what's going on right now, what's current, what I'm going to be working on the next week. And then the third paragraph is typically what are my big plans that I'm shooting for in the next month and a half or so. So with all of that, I did start this newsletter just kind of keep track of what I'm doing in my artistic world and whatnot. It's been a great little fact checker to know when I've completed something, and I can go back to see around what timeline that was, because the campaigns are easily navigatable. And the 3 paragraph layout, I think, gives people just enough information that they're not bogged down just reading everything in your life story. So typically how I run my ship. Then you come down here, hit next to give you some checks. Typically if you've left something off, it'll be blocked out. Obviously I don't have my social cards set up, I just never have taken the time. And you send it off. I ask you one more time if you are absolutely sure of you're ready to send off this, and then boom, it sends it out. It usually takes about, I don't know, 10 seconds or so to send it out, and you're off and running to your newsletter. If you want to get my newsletter, email me, samuraiox.com. You can find that on my Twitter as well. I'll put the links down below if you are interested in getting issue 1 or 2 of my series, I Never Forgot. You can find those bigcartel.com, or actually samuriox.bigcartel.com. I will throw that link in the description as well. And I'm going to high five a couple times. Boom, 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 boom. So, yeah, that's newsletter process I typically do. If you have any more questions, throw them in the links below, or the comments down below, and I will address those as I see fit. I hope the day is treating you well. I'm going to get back to working on the pencils for issue 4. Finally, I've been working on the internet all day. I've got the first spread of the first issue down on my website. You can check out my pages, my social sites. You can find that link. I'm probably going to put it in the link below as well. So I will catch you tomorrow for day 41 of the second run of 100 Days Making Comics. Later.